Is there a real estate bubble in the Bay Area? No, but there is now a real estate bundle in the Bay Area. That's right, Bundle Select. Hi, this is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I've been on the air and in the media educating and informing consumers for over 7 years now. I'm excited to introduce Bundle Select, which allows consumers to bundle all of their real estate services online, simplifying the process while averaging a savings of 20% or more. That's right, Bundle Select helps buyers and sellers streamline real estate, lending, and title. In addition, our concierge service will coordinate the entire transaction for you, so you benefit by working with the same team, saving time and saving money. You'll not only be working with the most qualified, hand-picked experts, but you will also save a significant amount of money in all three services as well. Act now and take advantage of this opportunity in the Bay Area. Go to bundleselect.com. That's bundleselect.com. Again, bundleselect.com.
Real estate broker Cal BRE 004666902. Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Kuchera, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Kuchera.
Good afternoon. Welcome in. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live, and we move through the week. Just a reminder before we get started today, if you'd like to reach out, contact me during the week, you could call or text 408-838-9060, or you could also email joe@reradiolive.com. That's joe@reradiolive.com. For more information, you could always just go to the website. That's probably the best thing to do if you want more information, if you want to contact me, if you want to know about the shows, past shows, the shows were just posted. Everything's on the website at reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Be sure to download the podcast. We love the followers. Thank you again for those following on Facebook and the social media outlets. But the main thing is to download that podcast, and that way you could listen to the show anywhere, anytime at your convenience. We realize that, and so for after 7.5 years, we're still continuing to grow the show, grow the audience, and hopefully continue to pass on education information. But what I say that is really value-based education information. You'll hear me say this quite a bit, and the reason why it's important to me, so it's a reminder of myself, and that is I don't want to do just shows that are just shows. And what I mean by that is I don't want to do podcasts, and I don't want to spend my time, waste my time and your time with stuff that's just very generic in nature. So I've given examples before. Well, the inventory's low in the market today, and the weather's nice, and it's going to be tough to buy a home this year. Those are all things we know. We know that about California. We know about the Bay Area. We know about... So what I try to do every show is bring you value and information and stuff that you could use, that you could ponder, that you could figure out, is this something that will help me? Is this something that will help my friends, family, coworkers? This is the type of information I want to pass on to you every day. Real, valuable, insightful information that you feel like you've learned something, you feel like you've benefited by spending some time, because I know your time is valuable. I know that. I know anybody that's busy and they have a regular schedule, your time is very valuable. It's all we have. And so I respect that in my shows. I really do. I respect the fact that time is valuable in my shows, and I try to keep these shows within 30 minutes or so, number one, for your convenience, and number two, hopefully packed with good information and education that you feel like you're learning something each and every time you listen, and I appreciate that. All right, the topic today is going to be competition with the real estate companies is heating up in Southern California big time, really big. And you've heard me talk about this before. So the question is, the topic today, it's heating up in Southern California. Is NorCal next? Is Northern California next? I think it is. I think it's one of the targets. So if so, what might that be? What might that mean for who might be the winners and losers in the NorCal market? So for instance, just to summarize the topic again, in Southern California, the market is heating up. What I mean by that is real estate companies are being very aggressive. There's a couple of them, a handful that are being very aggressive with mergers, acquisitions, buyouts, recruiting, and it's heating up. Now, there's two sides of this, because both these markets in Southern California, not as bad as up here, but there's two dynamics working. Companies are fighting for market share, real estate companies, and at the same time, they're fighting for market share that's diminishing. And you know what I mean. The inventory is low in most of these markets, so they're fighting for inventory that's diminishing. So what's happening is there's less of a piece of pie to go around. If you look at the pie chart, there's not much pie to go around. So the question is, in Southern California, it's happening right now, and my guess is that before this year's up, and certainly in next year, 2019, Northern California will be hit the same way. And I'm going to share with you what I think that's going to look like, who might be the players in that, and how that might evolve. So right now, to give you a little idea, in Southern California, there is real estate companies that are really, really being aggressive and taking market share because they know what's going on. The one that you've heard me talk about before a lot is Compass. So Compass, just to real quickly give you a reminder of who they are, they're a company that raised over $500 million. That's right, a real estate company, which is amazing to me, that has raised over $500 million. Now, why did they raise that much money? How could they raise that much money? Some would say because they're new and shiny and they're talking about the technology and the technical savvy they have and a lot of different things. Well, you could argue that one way or another, but I could summarize and tell you that the difference in Compass and the traditional real estate company is they've invested hundreds of millions of dollars, or they will invest hundreds of millions, into basically a back-end, all-in-one kind of, system, cradle-to-grave technology for their agents. And what that means is they have marketing, a CRM, lead generation, HR, blah, blah, blah. They've invested millions of dollars into basically an all-in-one system that is going to help their agents become more successful and allow them to make a better use of technology behind the scenes. I have a different opinion on that. You'll hear more and more in the coming months, in that I think the mistake that a lot of these companies are making is they're not investing to improve the customer experience. They're investing to improve the agent's experience. Some people might say, well, Joe, they're doing that because they want to recruit agents. I get it, and that's a strategy, and I think I understand why they do it, because they feel like if they invest in agents, they could get more agents, and then the agents will bring more business. I get that concept. I get that model. However, my opinion, where this industry has gone wrong, is they're not investing enough money to improve the customer experience and not get with the 21st century and beyond. That is what ultimately is going to hurt this industry, and it already is with a lot of startups that are taking market share. So Compass is one of the big players down in Southern California, and it's only a matter of time. They're up here already a little bit in Silicon Valley. There will be more. Keep your eyes and ears open for Compass. Mark my word, they will be a player. The reason they'll be a player in the Bay Area, just like they will be in Southern California, they have money. They have money. They have an open checkbook to a certain extent, and they will be acquiring companies. There's no way you could aggressively grow organically these days. You could grow organically and methodically if you're not concerned about market share. Absolutely, you could do that. But a company like Compass has the money and the resources, the new shiny nickel around the block. They're already being felt in the Bay Area, but I tell you, by this year's end and going into next year, it would be hard for me to not sit here today and say that they're going to be a big presence in the Bay Area in the next couple of years. How will they do that? I'll tell you my guess, in my observation. I study this stuff every day. They're going to buy someone. They're going to buy one or two companies. And you can make your guess of who those are. In the Bay Area, you could go down the list. You have Coldwell Banker. You have Intero. You have Alam Panel. You have Sereno Group. You have Century 21 that has some franchises around. You have a number of different smaller groups. But those are the main players: Coldwell Banker, Intero, Alam Panel, Sereno Group, You have Sotheby's. It's not down here. They're more up in the peninsula and in San Francisco. Some of these are franchises. You have a couple others, obviously. Realty World's another one. They're not a big presence here, but these players, so you have to ask yourself, my guess is those names that I just listed, there will be at least one or two of those companies I am willing to bet on. There'll be at least one or two of those companies that become Compass. In the next, I would say certainly I would say in the next 12 to 18 months. It could be as soon as this year. It could be as late as next year. I will say the next 12 to 18 months, you will see one or two of the companies, the predominant companies in the Bay Area, that will become Compass. I just believe there will. And Keller Williams is the other one. If I didn't mention them, they're another big player in the Bay Area, big time. So Keller Williams is one. The reason I bring Keller Williams up is that they're one of their huge groups just left to go join a group in Southern California. And I think here it says, let me see here. It says Beers. This is in Southern California, San Diego. Beers team of 19 agents at Keller Williams achieved a sales volume. So they did over $164 million in 2017. They just recently joined eXp Realty. Now, eXp Realty is an online kind of a virtual independent brokerage. So it's interesting. They're trying to be kind of the online, no bricks and mortars type of thing, even though they'd have them locations. They're trying to achieve that. I think they're having a level of success. They've got some money behind them, and that's eXp Real Estate. So between eXp and Compass, things are heating up in Southern California, and they're making some noise down there. So what's going to happen? What will happen is, in Southern California, it'll be interesting to see how this shapes out over the next 12 to 18 months. What happens down there? But those are some of the players. And, Coldwell Banker certainly has a big name everywhere. Here's my take on this. Some of them are probably too big that it makes sense for them to be either bought or merged. So my guess would be, as I sit here today and understand the data and the research that I do every day, Coldwell Banker will remain independent, and they will be one of the players that are out buying and acquiring. Coldwell Banker. Compass will be another one that's out buying and acquiring. They will be aggressive. Keller Williams is an interesting one. The reason I say that is because they've grown a lot lately in the Bay Area. They really gained a lot of momentum, especially in Los Gatos in the Bay Area. However, I don't know, that's a bit of a franchise, and they have different groups and different, management groups and partnerships and that type of thing. So it'll be interesting how that plays out. Maybe. We'll see. That could be interesting. Yeah, So I think Coldwell Banker is going to be an acquirer, and they will remain independent, and they will grow. They have the horsepower to do it. They have the money to do it. They have the brand and the name to do it. But I think the rest of the names that I just mentioned, probably not Intero because of Berkshire Hathaway and who knows? That's a guy that's got some business savvy. I'm not sure that they would be ripe to be bought. That'll be an interesting play as well. And I think Keller Williams the same. So I would say the wild cards are Keller Williams and Intero. So the other ones, in my opinion, will be the ones that will be in big consideration with these companies that either be bought or acquired or merge. And those will be Alon Pinnell, Sereno Group in the Bay Area, and maybe some of the Century 21 locations. It just depends on how those things work out. Now, I don't know. Obviously, this isn't going to happen for sure. I'm just reporting this information. No one really knows. It doesn't take a genius to look at the size of the industry and see that the inventory is shrinking and what that means. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's the supply and demand. It's the law of economics. And there's not enough inventory to go around. And there's money out there that's being spent to acquire market share because this is expensive real estate, and most of these big players want to be in it for good, and they want to be in it for the long haul. So it'll be interesting how this shakes out for sure over the next 12 to 18 months. All right, here's what I'm doing. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to continue talking a little bit about this competition in Southern California. When I come back, I'm going to talk more about Northern California, Silicon Valley. How is it going to affect us? How does it affect a consumer? How does it affect a consumer with this consolidation? And it's going to happen. Mark my word, I really believe strongly it will. This is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I'm going to take a quick break. Stick with us. I'll be back with you in just a minute.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
The world is changing, and so is real estate. It's changing in a way that gives consumers more control, a better use of technology, and guaranteed savings. Hi, this is Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. I've been on the air and in the media educating and informing consumers for over 7 years now. I'm excited to introduce Bundle Select, which allows consumers to bundle all of their real estate services online, simplifying the process while averaging a savings of 20% or more. That's right, Bundle Select helps buyers and sellers streamline real estate, lending, and title. In addition, our concierge service will coordinate the entire transaction for you, so you benefit by working with the same team, saving time and saving money. You'll not only be working with the most qualified, hand-picked experts, but you will also save a significant amount of money in all three services as well. Act now and take advantage of this opportunity in the Bay Area. Go to bundleselect.com. That's bundleselect.com. Again, bundleselect.com.
Real Estate Broker Cal BRE 004666902. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's topic or guests, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Welcome back in. Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live. As we move through the show today, the topic is the competition's heating up, the real estate competition with companies in Southern California, and reporting on that. The question is, so is Northern California next? And that's the question I throw out today. I believe they are. We are. And if so, who might be the winners and the losers in the NorCal market over the next year or so? As I think this competition gets underway and the consolidation gets underway, and the reason I think there will be consolidation is because what happens in general is that when you have low inventory like you have predominantly in all these markets, and you have a slew of people going after the same business, you can't keep the pace up. You just can't keep the pace up. For instance, if you have 500 or 600 listings in the Santa Clara Valley and you have, 6,000 or 7,000 plus, I don't even know what the number is, agents vying after that business, there's some things that start breaking down and happening. Number one, the overhead and the business models don't work unless you're doing volume. For the bigger firms, you can make it if you're a small firm, independent. That's not because you could afford to have a handful of deals a year and still be okay. But if you're a bigger firm, real estate firm, and you have a huge amount of money invested in overhead, liabilities, buildings, furniture, technology, marketing, you get a dip in business, you get the number of units dropping in a short period of time, this is going to happen. And the other big piece, the other reason why consolidation will take place is because this market, in a market like this, and the dynamics of a changing economy, commission and pricing is under pressure. And you've heard me talk about this before. So the kind of traditional real estate model is under pressure, and so it is. Same thing is in financing and lending. Same thing. They're both under pressure. And don't get me wrong, the title companies, you're coming next. It's going to happen. I know you feel like there's some protection there because they're big insurance companies that run these title companies. But I'm telling you, it's next. It's going to take a couple of years, but those models are going to change. The reason they're going to change is there's going to be more competition. There's going to be more technology. When you have a more wiser, educated consumer, they want more, they demand more, and they want better pricing. That's the model. And these things are going to change. Whether we like them or not, these things are going to change. I know some people don't want to hear this, and that's okay. But the people, I think, that are smart and wise and prepare for the future and try to strategize to change their models to survive will be the winners. They'll be the winners. You can't do business the same way we've done business when you have pressure on units, activity, and commissions. You just can't. Something's got to give. And this is what's going to happen in Northern California. I think over the next 12 to 18 months, we'll see some consolidation. And by the way, I think we'll see it in lending as well because of the same reasons I've talked about. And it'll happen. So it's coming to Northern California. So if we're a real estate company, a lending company, how do you prepare? What do you do? In my opinion, I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about a consumer. What is a consumer going to expect? What can they expect from this? Does it concern them at all? Does it bother them? Does it affect them? I'll talk a little bit about that. But so let's first kind of summarize what it means for our industry. Well, consolidation means that, unfortunately, some people that are doing loans and doing real estate transactions right now will probably go find other jobs and do something else because they're most likely, when the competition gets stiffer and stiffer and tougher, what happens usually is it weeds out the people that do very few deals or people that don't really market their business and work their business. This is where it starts showing up. The red flags start popping up all over the place. When you have a lot of inventory and you have a lot of people doing these, I mean, it's same. I'm telling you, the lending business and real estate is very similar in that way. You used to have a lot of people that worked very little and made really good incomes. That is going to change. That's going to start changing. Let me tell you why. On the lending side, it's already changing. It's going to be even more drastic. On the lending side, the reason why that's changing is that interest rates are now up for good. See, the last 8 to 10 years, most of us have been lucky that we lived in an interest rate rich environment. Interest rates would drop. We would refinance our database, and we did 3 or 4 or 5 different cycles in the last decade. And we were lucky. We were fortunate to be in this business at that time, and a lot of us have done very well. And for the people, I think, that are wise and smart, they continue to do a great job at taking care of their customers. They continue to evolve with technology, with marketing, staying in touch with your consumers, having an active database where you touch your clients at least 4 or 5 times a year. Those people will be fine. Business will ebb and flow, but they'll be fine. The people that it's going to be affected early on will be the people in real estate and lending that don't treat it like a business, that either had it part-time or did it from here to there, a couple loans here, a couple transactions here. That's going to be tough to make a living in. I'm not saying you still can't do it part-time or if you have another income in the family or something, that still works. I'm saying that it's going to be really difficult for a person to make a living or to support a family or to support someone other than themselves if they're not treating this like a business and they're going after it and being aggressive because there's not enough market share out there. So this is going to start to happen in the Bay Area. It's already starting to happen a little bit. It's going to happen even more. So as these big players then come up in the Bay Area, Northern California, if you could visualize this, what's going to happen is you're going to have companies like Coldwell Banker because they have a big presence. I think they're going to be, as I mentioned before, they're going to be a buyer, and they're going to be out aggressively trying to pick up people. Briefly in this article, in Southern California, for instance, Coldwell Banker talks about they lost in the Southern California area alone, they lost 940 agents. That's amazing, it says here, to some of the competitors over the last year or so. 940 agents Coldwell Banker lost in the Southern California area over the last couple of years. It's a lot of people. So these kinds of things are going to start happening in Northern California, and we're going to see it. Again, real briefly, the players will be Compass, they'll be Coldwell Banker. Some of the other companies in Taro, they're big enough to do some acquiring, and some of the others, I think, will, I won't say, it's not that you don't have a choice, but some of the small to middle-sized real estate companies, I think they will have to make a decision if they want to join a bigger company or take the chance of struggling. I really do. If you're a middle-sized real estate company or mortgage company for that matter, that's going to be a tough decision. The decision is going to be, do you want to jump on board with a big leader, someone like Compass or Coldwell Banker, or do you think you could go it yourself? I think it's going to be tougher to go it yourself. Here's the mistake I think real estate companies and lenders are going to make. They look at the history and they'll say, oh, we've done it before. But let me tell you, it's never been like it is right now. And it's not going to get any better. That's the difference. And so I think the survivors in this market, in this economy in the Bay Area, will be the big players that are coming in because they have the money and they have the checkbooks, they have the resources. So they'll be acquiring other companies. And then I think there'll be some companies that we're talking about today that will be acquired and will no longer exist with that name. And this will be over the next 12 to 18 months, maybe 24 months. Could be as much as 2 years, but I think it's going to be, I would certainly say, between now and 2020. So I do think this is not going to happen in the next 5 or 6 months, but it will happen in the next 12 to, say, 24 months. It will. This will take place. It'll happen. What is the other big factor here? I touched briefly, and that is the pricing pressure. You see, I just talked about the overhead, the liabilities. Then you lose units. You're not doing enough volume. There's pressure there, right? And then here's what happens on top of it. See, what you had in the past is when there was slowdowns and there was downturns. Follow me here. Pricing was still good. Pricing was still really good. It was rich for this industry, both lending and real estate. That is no longer the situation. That's the difference. The downturn this time means that there's going to be more and more pricing pressure, which means commissions will be less, fees will be less for all of us. So we have to learn how to adapt. We have to change our models. We have to get smarter the way we spend money, our overhead, our comp plans, all that stuff. It's going to change. It's going to change over the next 12 to 24 months. It just is. And so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. It's always the same, in my opinion. What will happen is the companies that really plan and spend their money wisely and invest in good people and what's good for the consumer, they're going to survive. Just trust me on this, and I'm not the expert, and I'm not the only one saying it, but none of us are going to be able to continue this business as business as usual. We just won't. If you think you could do business the way you've done it for the last 15 years as a lender of real estate, I think we're all sadly mistaken, the people that think that. We had better change. We had better adjust. We better realize how we could sharpen our skills, our marketing, our technology, our offer. We just have to. It's going to happen. It's going to change. So the exciting part is change is good and it's inevitable. It's going to happen. So you have to adjust and adapt. And when you come out of the other side, usually it's really good for people that endorse it, embrace it, and realize that they have to make those differences. Then it's really good. So with the next couple of minutes I have left, I'm going to talk a little bit about how this is going to affect the consumer. So we talked a little bit about the industry, the effects on the industry, what's going to happen. So now how is this going to affect the consumer with consolidation and more of these companies coming into the Bay Area and putting pricing pressure and pressure with technology? I'm telling you, it's going to get fiercely competitive. This inventory is going to stay low, ladies and gentlemen, and, it could come up a little bit summertime. It could, and I think it will. But with all the competition, let me just tell you what's going to start happening. I'm already hearing whispers of this, and it's happening. I'm already hearing agents and people getting so frustrated because people are already cutting commissions and fees and rates to compete for the small amount of business that's out there. It's happening. Do I like it? No, not really. It's frustrating, but it's happening. And it's a supply and demand call. It's a call to change in technology and business models and how we approach this. So what happens to the consumer? What's going to happen to the consumer? How is that going to change for them? I'll tell you a couple things. So the consumer is going to be the beneficiary here. The consumer is going to benefit, once again, from the competitive nature and the consolidation of our industry. How? You're going to be forced to be more competitive, which means it's going to be better pricing. You're going to have to improve your service and your technology. If you want to continue to impress and improve your customer care, you're going to have to invest in technology and marketing. If there's one of the biggest mistakes that I could talk about today, that I think both of our industries have made the last several years, and you can still turn it around, it's not too late. It's going to be tougher, though, turning that big ship. And that is, quit spending so much money on trying to protect the industry instead of spending that money on improving the customer experience. Start spending money on technology and systems and processes that allows a consumer to be more satisfied. The biggest complaint in lending and real estate, a transaction, you know what it is? The biggest complaint? Lack of communication and follow-through and service. It's the biggest complaint. So how do you fix that? You have to have good people. You have to have better technology. You have to have better systems and processes to improve customer satisfaction. That's how it works. That's how it happens. So in my opinion, the biggest thing companies that could do is invest in technology, marketing, strategies, artificial intelligence, whatever it is, to improve the customer experience. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to evolve. It's going to take some time. But you have to head down that path, and you have to stay committed to it, because the consumers ultimately make the decision. The mistake we make in our industries, in many industries, it's not just our industry, by the way, is that we have this arrogance about us to think that consumers need us and they'll always come back to us. Big mistake. Big mistake. I've been in this business for 16, 17 years, and I'm already seeing very loyal clients that I worked with that helped for years that aren't coming back in some cases because of pricing, business models, a lack of technology, things like that some of us have no control over to a certain extent. So it's happening. So that's the difference for the consumers. The consumers are going to change in that way. They're going to benefit from it. There's going to be more use of technology, marketing, offers, and we'll see how it plays out for sure. It'll be interesting times. All right, unfortunately, running out of time. I'm going to have to duck out. Remember, during the week, if you'd like to reach me, 408-838-9060, or you could always email Joe at reradiolive.com. For more information, you could always go to reradiolive.com. Again, that's reradiolive.com. Until next time, take care.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at reradiolive.com.